Today we're going to talk about something that's relevant to our image, right? As black men in the world.
But it's essentially saying in this country, if you're not entertaining the masses through either, making fun of yourself or through your athletic abilities, you are not going to be celebrated as much. You don't have that following. You don't be deemed successful.
Welcome, my people. Welcome back to another episode of TJMTM, the Jola Meets the Muddy podcast. This is the Jola. I'm the Muddy.
Yes, sir.
Your boy DJ Anzo here with Young Money Millionaire Mr. E.
Man like General.
Uncle E. General, come on. What's going on, man? How are you? How you guys doing? How's your family? How's your health? Hope you guys are staying active. Summer just started on this side.
Sheesh.
If you're on the other side of the world, like South Africa, it's probably getting cold now.
Colder? We're not worried about them right now.
But Seattle summer has started.
Finally.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Can't beat summers out here in the PNW.
At all. Some people are suffering with the heat wave in the East Coast.
Heat wave? East Coast? Yeah, can't relate.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
I just got back from Texas. It was...
How
felt like I was
over there?
felt like in Houston, it felt like I was drinking water out of the air.
That humidity,
The humidity is crazy, but Dallas was just nice.
Was calm.
That was just nice. Still high 90s, but very nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
what's good, my boy? Like, how you been?
Man, we out here slicing and dicing. Obviously, this is the time, I guess, living out here in the PNW. We wait for this, to be more outside and doing activities that are not related to, do I need a jacket on or am I going up the mountains? So it's hiking season.
Hiking season.
Basically.
It's
So I'm
everything
excited.
season, though.
Yeah, outside season.
Outside season. And it's beautiful. Like,
Football too.
exactly.
You need to start coming up.
Exactly.
Pickup. Look, we've been playing Sunday pickup. There's a Sunday pickup spot
Where?
in is it Shoreline?
A and B?
No, not A and B.
Okay.
What's that high school? Remember
Probably Shorewood, right? Or
it's next to Shorewood, before Shorewood.
Shorewood.
We did one time play there,
Okay.
but pickups.
Is it good?
Sunday, it was good. I went for the first time this Sunday that just passed.
Uh-huh.
Halim. It was pretty good.
Is it like with the Gambians or?
No, it was just everyone was there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Been doing Cal Anderson.
Kyle Anderson.
Yeah. Sometimes, but
Evening
it's
pickups.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah.
Seattle uses better.
You would like the Shoreline one.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Boys are
So
outside.
we outside.
Come on, man.
No.
Also, I need to make a special shout out to all my Kenyans. Right now, they're protesting a ridiculous bill that was passed, the finance bill for the overall country budget. Boy, when I tell you some of the things that are in that budget, it's the epitome of what is wrong with our leaders.
Oh my God.
And so a lot of Gen Z is out in the streets. They're protesting peacefully and just making their voice be heard. And so shout out to all my Kenyans and
That's big.
Gen Z. Shout out to you for continuing to surprise us with your...
Yeah, the Gen Zs
with your
are full
power,
of surprises.
you know?
They don't take no BS, though.
They had a full list of things they're going to do day by day.
Really?
My favorite one was, I think on one day at all the clubs and bars that they go to, they stopped the music and they started a chant about like protesting the bill, basically. And I was like, this is fire. Like, so shout out to them.
You need, the youth actively involved in...
It's their future.
It's
our
our future, right?
You know?
We can't just leave it to the old past, the grand past.
Like, I think they said something ridiculous, like $2 million for medals.
For medals. Yeah, which medals? The medals. My God.
I don't know, but Kenya, shout out to you guys, of course. We're still
Much
praying
respect.
for peace in the rest of the world.
Yes.
Palestine, Congo, a lot of places in the world that need our support right now. So we are praying for you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you're just joining us for the first time, who we are is we're two millennials. We canoe through this thing called life out here in the diaspora, giving you an African millennials perspective into everything culture food, entertainment, music, and we want to edutain you along the way.
Yes, sir.
Keyword edutain. Today we're going to talk about something that's relevant to our image, right? As black men in the world. We'll start here. So I don't know if you saw, but Complex magazine came out with the top 20 funniest people on the internet.
Yes.
The only criteria is you couldn't be a stand-up comedian. And
So you're strictly an internet personality.
correct.
You make comedy, content creator, you're funny.
Correct.
Okay.
And it was overwhelmingly black. Number 20, Caleb Presley's a white guy. Number 19, Gillian Wallow. 18, New York Nay. 17, Vince Staples.
Vince Staples, he's a musician, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's also funny on the internet, though.
Okay.
Cameron Amaze, 16. Blue Ratchet, 15. Kai Cenat, 14. Phantom, 13. Zoe Spencer, 13. I don't know. Or 12. Lou Young, 11. That's my guy. 85 South, the whole crew. They got 10th.
Yeah.
Malik B, I don't know who that is.
Malik B, that's the guy who does the skits with always like, he does a lot of couple, relationship, or cheating related skits. He's pretty.
Oh, I think I see him on Twitter, actually.
On Twitter, he's very active.
He's very funny. Yeah, okay. My guy, Desi Banks, number 8.
Okay, Desi.
Carvel Dolo, shout out 80.
Okay.
He got 7. Funny Marco got 6.
Funny Marco?
Yeah. Theo Vaughn got 5, another white guy. Trey Rags got 4.
Trey Rags, now that's my guy.
Funny.
Yeah, I like Trey Rags.
Mark Phillips, the RDC World, number 3.
Wow.
Ben Dadon, number 2. And then Drewski, number 1.
Drewski, number 1?
Yeah. What do you think about the list?
I mean, yeah, like, I wish, great, yes, they give it credit to internet personalities. But again, I hate to be the party pooper, but I would prefer to see other lists associated with black men, not simply known for being funny internet personalities. I don't see a list of the complex 10 most, funny, internet personalities, and I'm looking at the list, it's all mainly black men. It poses a question, yes, from a culture-wise, comedy and just U.S. popular culture influence, these black men have a huge play in that. But in the end, too, is the form, right? Are we only being celebrated for entertaining people online? Is that our award? Is this a trophy? Can I maybe see Complex focus on accomplishments of black men outside of entertainment?
But I think the argument there now becomes that's not their brand, Complex, right? They focus on sports,
But
music, entertainment, right?
fine, but don't you see what it's still representing? If
Yeah.
we're saying we're finding who are the funniest people on the internet, and 90% plus of the people on there are black men, it's also in a way a representation of how, especially in the US, black men are deemed in terms of fame, success.
Okay.
It's also a mirroring image of that, I think. There's a direct correlation because it seems like when we look at Casanat, when we look at streamers, when we think of popular, well-known black men, are they typically not entertaining, whether through their athletic feats or through entertaining on the internet or through dancing or through singing? I think it normalizes that versus when we look at it, it's like, well, actually, when it comes to either entrepreneurship, when it comes to academic research, when it comes to areas of, people who are inventing, people who are doing big things in maybe even finance, maybe in medicine, research. Yeah, where is that? Like, where are those forums? Why is that not being put in the forefront?
I get the argument, and I think that there's also that's part of the discourse around this was it traces back to sort of like the I forget what they call them, but like the people who used to kind of like toe tap.
Minstrel, is that what you're saying?
Yes. There was larger discourse around that, and I understand the relevance, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate.
Let's hear your counter.
Because I do think that, number one, the loudest one in the room isn't necessarily the most impactful, right? Number two, there has been a shift in the way Black people and Black men are celebrated. Black men. Let me talk about Black men.
Subject
right?
is strictly on Black
men, right?
Yes.
I think there has been a shift, definitely, in the way that we are celebrated, even, or rather within our community, but also outside, right? A lot of work needs to be done outside of it. But within the community, I think that we've been showing up for ourselves better. And although I hear the argument that, Complex or another publication should highlight the rest of the work that we're doing, I think that there are publications that do that, and places and platforms that do that, but it's just not what sells right now. And we live in a capitalist.
It doesn't give you the clicks.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the views. It doesn't give you the follows.
Exactly.
And
in this political economy,
right? Financial gain.
whatever translates to the dollars is what is going to sell. Now, I think those 18 or so, and I don't know if it was 18, but those Black men on there can also use their platforms to promote the other things.
Like what? What do they promote?
Huh?
What does
I'm saying
promote?
they can, is what I'm saying. And they should use
What
it.
does Drewski promote?
I'm not saying they do promote. I'm saying they have that ability.
Like when we say the funniest people on the internet, yes, obviously the comedians, they're funny people. They're not even comedians really, because they didn't do true stand-up traditional route, right? It's not a profession. They started making content on the internet, and why did they get famous on the internet? A lot of the times was through, I don't want to use the word buffoonery because that might be a little bit too harsh, but in one way or another further is making fools of themselves in looking at Drewski in doing the skits, and it's what's that in differentiation from like be doing minstrel or toe tapping, tap dancing, and they're laughing at you because of maybe either how you look, how you act, how you portray yourself, and then you start getting these followers and you have a big platform, and obviously you get financial gain from it. And now you end up on a list as the funniest person on the internet.
So do you not see any positive in it?
I don't.
At all?
Besides when I laugh on the social media, but I don't.
At all.
Because these people, who's actually watching these people the most? The kids. Look at Kai Cenat. It's like 12 years olds. So I just see the normalization of Black men who are famous. I don't want to use the word even successful. Famous or highly compensated. It's nothing to deal with actually being a thinker, pursuing academics, pursuing, whatever, a career, professionalism. It builds this image where now you talk to kids, they tell you they want to be a YouTube creator. I'm not saying don't do that. But I think America has never gone over the I guess fascination what Ismaila was talking about, the Black body, where we invoke fear or excitement. These are all translations of that.
Sort of, if we're not invoking extremities and we're just sort of living a normal life.
Black men in this world. Well, I'm not gonna say in this world, but in America specifically, 9 times out of 10, it's through either entertainment, through fear or excitement.
Okay.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right. But
so do you see what has changed? Like we have not, it's just through evolving through the times in different forms. But it's essentially saying in this country, if you're not entertaining the masses through either, making fun of yourself or through your athletic abilities, you are not going to be celebrated as much. You don't have that following. You don't be deemed successful. I still have an issue with the popularity of Black men, who they are and who has the greatest influence on the youth, and why did they get that influence, like through what they're doing. I'm not saying they shouldn't be streaming or they shouldn't be comedians or jokes, but I just think that there's an issue happening here, especially in this America, where especially the young kids, they're seeing all of these funny guys on the internet, They see all of these athletes. You scroll on IG, all you see is athletes, this, that. And it takes away what we actually also need in society, which is the reality is we need to have excellence in all different aspects beyond entertainment.
Let me ask you this now, right? So black culture has always been exploited wherever it's from in the world, right?
Yes.
We live in a country that is largely built off of that, right?
100%.
How do you now, knowing that you don't control the majority of industries outside of entertainment, and you know that your culture is being capitalized off of, how do you start to take back sort of control of like social responsibility of your culture, but also how do you now start to amplify those other voices, if not through the capital that you gained from that exploitation?
We change the narrative, Anzo. We have to shift our mindset.
Let me say this, because when I think of like funny people who were successful and then played the long game, right? You can say like, oh, look at a Kevin Hart, right? Kevin Hart was making a fool of himself realistically, right? Yes. Stand-up comedy. And then he built a whole media empire, right? Off of his name, right? I'm sure he employs thousands of black people. I can't really speak to the numbers, but that's an example of someone who's probably putting his dollars back into the community, right? He goes out into Philly, does his charitable work, whatever you may call it, right? You look at like a LeBron, a little bit different, but LeBron used, okay, you're going to capitalize off my image. I'm going to take that, makes like a Space Jam 2 with Spring Hill Entertainment. He makes his podcast like The Shop, builds a whole school.
He amplifies black voices and all of, in schools and all of that, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, although, yes, we need to amplify everything else just as much, this is like, those are the people who are in prime positions to also amplify those voices. So a Drewski, a Desi Banks, Kai Cenat, Phantom, like all those guys need the right sort of mentors around them and people around them to influence their decision making and get them to see the long-term game in that, okay, I'm funny now, but how do I, and I'm making a lot of money now, but how do I make this dollar longer for my people and essentially put those dollars back into the community and to a wider like basket of professions and just industries, right?
I can't argue that. Mm-hmm. And you do make a good solid point. I agree. Like when they get that platform and those resources, they can use it to the benefit of the black communities, right? My thing is, Anzo, as us black men, right? If we wanted to say, look at, all right, if we're looking out on the table, what are the paths that we think are the fastest way towards getting to that level? Are we firstly thinking, actually, let's go get our higher education, get careers, build our own businesses, or pursue different fields? Is that one that we normally see? Isn't it typically deemed in form of the black men, their fastest or quickest way to massive amounts of compensation is through entertainment? And entertainment through music, entertainment through comedy, culture, whatever, entertainment through athletics. That's my thing, is we seem to be still the only demographic where the path to success or massive compensation that is normally normalized, or what we think of first, is entertainment. And I also speak on my own experience, right? I've gone through this my whole 20s, right? Through traveling, through meeting strangers, through meeting black men, through meeting all races, right? When they look at me, what are the first things they typically ask?
You play basketball. Right?
You play basketball just because I'm a 6'4" black man? That's the number one thing they think of, right? who they think of, oh, is this guy, and you look like an engineer. You look like, you know, that type of deal. But you see what I'm saying is, then this is what Ismail was saying is we've been programmed, right? Oh man, if I was your height, blah, 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 I would be in the league, blah, blah, blah. No, that's why like the childish Gambinos or black men who have other interests that are outside of what our expectations, our boundaries are. I also appreciate that because we've been put into different buckets, right? You have certain physical attributes. You should probably only play sports as a black man. Which other race do we get that from? Which other race, because of you fit a certain physical attributes, do they automatically presume that you should be playing a sport?
I think that opens or brings a deeper conversation though.
But that tells you though, and we can take this back to the continent too, right? What do the boys, when we're playing football every day, what do they dream of in terms of how they can make it? Most of us back home, it was like we make it means you become a professional footballer.
Don't you think that's a lot of men in general though?
Because of the effect of sports?
Yeah.
Yes, we all love sports. We grow, we all want to make it to the highest level, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it follows us throughout. There's never a point where we're like, actually, I have these other interests that if sports doesn't work out, I can pursue. And even maybe if I would have been really successful or I would have had a higher chance of being good at this sport, it's okay that I did not want to pursue this.
I think that this is...
Sports hurts most black... That's my last thing before I let you go. Mm-hmm. Sports actually is very detrimental to us black men because the reality is the percentage that actually make it to the pro level that makes the immense amount of compensation versus the one that don't.
It's minimal.
It's very detrimental.
Yeah. I don't know that I'll say it go as far as saying detrimental, but I understand where you're going with that. But here was my question before I lost my train of thought. Shoot, I forgot. What was the last thing you said before?
Before it was detrimental?
Yeah.
I mean, I said a lot. I was just talking about, the image, right, of, I was talking about, like, at least for me, speaking from experience, especially when I came here into the U.S., it became way more prevalent, where through airports, like, certainly you're immediately profiled based on how you looked. And the correlation was always, what team do you play for?
You said something after that that I'm trying to remember. Nonetheless, I remember. So I think that's bringing about a larger conversation, which is really around the politics of poverty for me, right? Number one. Okay. So let's say on the continent, right? You go to some random village and you do have a number of like athletically inclined individuals, boys, right? Most of them know like, my only ticket out of this place, because I saw Sadio Mane do it, because I saw Victor Osimhen do it,
yes,
because I saw DJ Drogba do it, that's my North Star, right?
That's all they know.
And I think that the politics of poverty there don't allow you to think outside the box because of the leaders who are in your communities, number one, but also two, of your nations. Go to the city, it's a little bit different. You grew up in the city. I grew up in the city. When I was in school, now it became, we're not even thinking about sports because that's not a North Star for you. You can play it all you want.
Yeah.
Maybe in the off chance that you somehow turned out to be, the sensational star, then we'll see about it. But don't even think about it, right? Education is your North Star. And that's where I think even opens a larger conversation because now we're losing out on the rest of the world, which is you could go into the arts, right? Of course, that's not going to pay you like it should back home. But just this year, I think African art officially hit like a $8 billion market cap or something.
Industries that desperately need
a lot of it.
Yes.
But the politics of poverty won't allow us to think outside of that box.
The way we can make it.
I think that a lot of times it's because I know, like when I came here, I was like, I'm faster than all these kids, right? And I knew, like, right,
because of genetics.
and I think that I can't say that sports is completely detrimental, because it a lot of times becomes a ticket
to get an education.
To get an education, if you get into the right places, which there obviously is in a lot of, once someone's decided that that's going to be your career, that education kind of goes to the back burner.
You have to sacrifice,
yeah, and it's not like you go to like some academies in Europe where it's like there's still a focus
on MIT to play sports,
right? And that's one thing I do admire about America and sort of the student athlete, is like you're a student first and then you're an athlete, because NCAA is corrupt.
Yeah,
NCAA is very corrupt.
Is it really set up for you in terms of what you're getting in a degree and education?
This is why I love the NIL deals that are coming out.
Yeah.
And those are going to get refined, and college sports is going to be different now. But the emphasis was always the student athlete. The NCAA messed up when they exploited athletes and, had underfunded programs while the organization was eating and getting exponentially, richer. But the student athletes themselves weren't eating. I have an issue with that. But in being a student athlete first, I don't have any quarrels with that, because, look, like in high school, right? We couldn't play unless we had a certain GPA. And that bar was even a little bit too low. I feel like you should raise it up, because I think you only had to have like a 2.0 to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically just show up in class.
Just show up in class, like another conversation could be had there about, the student athlete. Let's raise the expectations, and emphasize the importance of both worlds, right? Because it's mind, body, soul, right? Like your mind, that's your education. You're getting educated. Body, taking care of it physically. Soul, like your spirituality. Those three things don't stop throughout the trajectory of your life. But if we're focused on one, that's how we get a bunch of washed up athletes that now.
Anzo, that's the thing though, and that's why I'm calling it detrimental, because where it's never catered towards the 90% that don't make it to the pros. You get all the way through college, whatever sport you play becomes the identity of a lot of these men. You played your academies in Europe your whole life, right? Mm-hmm. There was literally a documentary on this where there's the mental health challenges of these kids that don't make it and don't know what to do with their lives, because of their whole life they've been just programmed and this sport had become their identity. Here in America, you get a scholarship, even whether it's even D1. Who's getting drafted or going pros? Mm-hmm. So if you have invested all of your time and energy and effort into playing this sport, which clearly is a back burner, is your education, your career. You're going to be a D1 athlete trying to make it pro, but you're focused on also getting work experiences, getting internships, making sure that you're also studying a degree that is in demand with the industry, and you know that you're gonna, if anything, if you don't make it, you've maximized a full athletic scholarship to ensure that you have a career. Let's look at the percentages. Mm-hmm. So even if you get the education to go to college, the degree you get, come on, most of the times it's not going to be degrees that are in demand or that will yield high paying jobs or will put you in a place where you can actually start a good career. You kind of have to go through a big struggle period, right?
I get that.
What are we saying?
Like if you graduate and you studied anthropology and you actually figure out you don't care about it.
You studied an easy major because that's what allowed you to focus on your sport, because that's what the coaches wanted. That's what the school wanted. Was it really a free scholarship? Was it really a full scholarship? That's why I think it's detrimental, and it sets up all the way. When I was looking into this Durag research, I saw that African Americans, for example, they have the highest participation in sports on the youth level. Mm-hmm. So look at what that creates in a pipeline. Us back home in the continent, when we were growing up, it was football where we played throughout. So I'm not saying sports is bad or is detrimental. I'm saying when it comes to setting up realistic expectations and allowing kids to think beyond sports, to think beyond entertainment, to look at actual careers, actual professions, things you can achieve, to be intellectuals, to be thinkers in society, to have the ability to have ideas that they want to create and execute and contribute, to want to have trade skills. Like that is being overlooked or not being glorified. That's not going to get you the followers. That's not going to get you on Complex magazine.
Okay. I think
that's
things can be true at the same time, though. Because I get your perspective, but I do think that there's a lot of good that can come from it. And I think that some of those content creators actually do a good job of trying to highlight the rest of the world, or the experiences that they're going on. Like, let's talk about the what are they, AMP, like Kai Cenat and all them?
Yeah, when they went to
West Africa, they were trying to connect with the people on the ground. Of course, there's still the comedic aspect to it, but they were there, bro. They were on the ground. If you go over to the UK, you think about Chunks, Philly, all of those guys. They're largely educational, even through their comedy. Like, they just went to Kisumu in Kenya to build a I think there's like a water project that they're supporting, right? But we won't highlight those things. And I think that's why I'm saying the loudest thing in the room isn't always the most impactful, is because you don't see that. You won't hear about all those things. You'll hear that.
Yeah, you know about when Kai Cenat did the 20v1 or whatever. And yeah, you'll see that when he did that in Nigeria. Or that's what I'm saying, though. What are people watching? What do people want to see? And they know this. They know this, bro. I get it. Yeah. That's the game.
I get it. And I do think that, like, the type of content that you create matters. TikTok is a lot of TikTok is such a powerful tool, but can also be used in the worst way, because there's a lot of useless content online, like 20v1s.
Yeah, imagine standing there, right?
These are grown men and women
being told, just say popping balloons and all of, you know what I'm saying, though? Who's doing this? We are regressing. What's going on? Time out, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying is we have this issue, and it's just translating, or it's always happened.
Yeah.
Since, this fascination of us black men and women happen in this world, and how they've used their bodies, how we've been used to be entertaining, how we've also been always deemed in society. It's just translating now. And social media, when it's blowing up, we're seeing creators, we're seeing a lot of these people gain a lot of success and financial gain. But why did they gain it?
I can get behind that. I do think that, your biggest source of income is something that you shouldn't overlook, and as long as that the people that are in those positions they understand their social responsibility, I'm like, yo,
why should they understand their social responsibility? That's like us holding celebrities to be the morally upright people, or why? It's not their job. How are we asking a content creator who, makes reaction videos or makes comedy skits to have social responsibility, or think of, what am I going to do for, make sure to give back to the community and give opportunities? Why are we expecting that?
I'm not expecting. I'm saying,
if they give that guy a platform, we didn't give someone who maybe goes and studies, history back in the continent and provides actual valuable information, right?
Yeah, but that's not going to sell. You have to understand that, right? That's not going to sell. But you can't tell me that Tom Cruise didn't go and look out for his people. His people being white people, right?
I love Tom Cruise, bro. Not white people, bro. You know what I'm saying? But with Tom Cruise, come on.
I'm just saying, who is Tom Cruise ultimately looking out for?
What do you mean?
Outside of his family.
So you're saying that expectation is not him? Tom Cruise is a white man. We're talking about black men and what.
And I'm saying, let's look at the other side of the coin, right?
Why should we look at them?
Because they're looking out for themselves.
But we don't have that luxury because we've been through both continents all over the world. We have been oppressed. We have been colonized. We have been put into.
That's all the reason why when we give people that platform, we should.
This is how we gain. This is how we gain back what we lost.
No. But why, Ebrima? You make $1 billion tomorrow. There's no way in hell that and you made it through entertainment. There's no way in hell that I'm letting you just sit on that $1 billion and just be cool off it. We're going to go back into the community and we're going to take that $1 billion that you made.
So you don't care if I made $1 billion just making fun of myself or just creating brainless content?
Because as your friend, right, I'm going to make sure that you build a school where the kids that go to that school wear traditional African wear, and you're going to take that $1 billion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you're saying like Michael Blackson going back to Ghana and building a school, but he became famous in America by making stereotypical character of an African man.
Who cares? Like, the man made his money, though.
Absolutely.
You see, this is the thing. Is
okay, go ahead. Let me hear
we can't cry over spilled milk at this point, right? Sure, in the future, maybe don't make stereotypical jokes about Africans.
He won't make money.
Who? Michael Blackson? Yeah. He already made his money.
Come on. Let Michael Blackson already say, no, I'm not going to say, I can't get jiggy with this. Let him take away that act and now just, say, okay, I want to do philanthropy.
Who's the biggest African content creator or comedian now? It's not him.
Who is it?
You can go to the internet and see tons of them. Lai Wasabi, like all those guys.
We had Yao here, and Yao is a big TikTok creator, which we need
and that's more authentic.
To Yao,
right?
we need to talk to him again.
Yeah,
but again,
don't you see the authenticity shining through though? Because authenticity always sells.
Yes,
right?
He is authentic, and I do like his content. And yes, might be a double standard there, but again, what I'm saying is it's not balanced. It's not balanced in the creators, how we utilize now the social media platforms to educate, to entertain, and uplift our people because of what we've gone through all over the world. It's right now heavily skewed towards entertainment.
I think
progress.
I think that struggle is still so young. And you have to also remember, what's the oldest African country outside of Ethiopia that was never colonized? These are young countries.
50 is when we started.
These countries are 60 years old, right? We're competing against the West, where France is, I don't know how old.
Yeah, they
England
stole
is
all the
old.
money from us and their countries, yes.
The U.S. is, how old is it now? 200-something years old, right?
1700s or something like that. Yeah.
Right. So, it'll approach, 200-something years old, right? I think that although we have to demand excellence from ourselves, we also have to be realistic about where we are. And rather than sitting on the rage that we experience today, we have to understand that it's a process, right? We're in the middle of a process. I think we're going through a number of renaissances that we might not even understand. The right people may not be being amplified right now, but they're there and they're impactful. Like Idris Sandu, for example, one of my favorite coders. His platform is booming. He's a person who is focused on the continent and focused on technology. He's building a massive STEM center in Ghana right now. I believe in Ghana. He already acquired the land. These are things that are happening in the background, right? Nairobi has the most tech startups out of any African city or country. Or Kenya has the most out of any African country. Things are booming in Ethiopia, Nigeria. There's groundwork being laid, and I think it would be unfair to not give those people the credit and the recognition that they deserve. I think that we're coming out of an era where largely black men around the world have been sensationalized for their physical attributes. But I think it would be also irresponsible of us not to acknowledge that a lot of groundwork is being laid down outside of that. You see it represented in fashion. You see it represented in STEM, all STEM fields. Hell, you even see it represented like in religion. Like religious leaders are becoming popular as black men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's where I'm at, is like, yes, those problems are very prevalent and we need to like continue to pay attention to it, but we also need to give ourselves grace and understand that, like, you know what, we're doing well. And I will say this, like, whenever I meet the average black man just walking on the street, I'm like, this brother's doing well. And he's not an athlete, you know, he's not an entertainer of sorts. He's just the average black man going to work,
working hard every day,
doing his
thing,
and providing for his family.
Yes.
You know, I love that I've like seen an increase in like, you know, present fathers and present mothers in like the black community. And I hate that, you know, stupid stuff gets like amplified.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see fight videos on my timeline. I don't want to see 20 verse 1 videos. I don't want to see like, you know, things that hold no value. And yeah, like we're learning these platforms, we're learning the TikToks, we're learning the Twitters, we're learning the Instagrams. And I think that, you know, that representation is it's on its way up, but it still needs like a lot of work. I just like to see this thing as innately good as I can, you know? And so
I can't argue that, Anzo, and I agree with you. I think it's a frustration for me that we don't amplify that enough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't amplify, you know, getting your education degree, just getting your career, having a 9-to-5, and not doing anything that seems extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
We don't normalize that. Do you know, like there's the white guy who does the day in the life of a 9-to-5, and he has the most mundane life ever. Like, can we normalize that as the image for us, that we don't have to be doing anything that is somewhat spectacular or out of the norm? And also amplify areas that you mentioned, startups, like what we're doing in innovation. Can we amplify black electricians, plumbers, people we need in society?
yeah,
Like, can we shift our focus on that? The answer right now is no, because the dopamine is associated with the excitement and the entertaining stuff we do.
I think two things can be true at the same time. I get what you're saying, where the dopamine is associated with those things, but I don't want to discredit those in the background that are doing well for themselves outside of there, you know?
We don't amplify them enough. That's what I'm saying. Those are the ones where our spotlight should be rightly there. Yes, great. We have already established this point. Yes, genetically, we're very athletic. We can dance well. We can, you know, like we can do all of these things. Like that's already been, how many, we have enough data now.
He said data.
Like that will always be there. Black excellence in athletics and entertainment will always be there. But what we don't want is to normalize. How can I make sure that maybe if I have a son and he happens to be 6'4", the first thing they won't think of is what team do you play for? Like, how do we transition from that?
I can hear that. I can hear that. Anyway, we'll leave it there.
I want to know what people have to say about this.
But
Friends.
look, I'm going to amplify it. Idris Sandu from Ghana. He lives in LA, I believe. And he was like coding at Apple and with, you know, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates.
Love it.
When he was like 13 or something, I think, or 15, something like that. CEO of, I think, Spatial Labs. And they do a lot of like augmented reality, things of that nature. He's building a STEM facility in Ghana. And if you guys should follow him, Idris, Iddris, and he's always recommending books for us and our peers. You know, I'm doing my part in amplifying that person. So
and there's two people I feel like we'll greatly want to amplify. Umar Codes.
Yo, how can I not? Oh my God.
No,
Umar Codes.
I got you, brother.
Umar Codes, yeah.
Umar Codes.
Keep going.
Shout out to Umar Codes.
For real.
And all out with Palm Plug.
There's a lot of people we can go down. Like,
but shout out to Umar Codes, man. Like, I listened to it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You educate us.
Umar
tech. and how you can think as a software engineer, programming, career fields. Like I love that. I'm not saying, bun to all the other stuff, but like shout out, like let's continue to amplify that.
Uma's doing an amazing thing, Uma and Ola along.
Yes.
In that they're opening so many doors for people trying to get their foot in the tech.
Yes.
And if we don't know how to code in like the next 5-10 years, it's a long road to the top. So Uma, Ola, shout out to you guys, man. That's all I gotta say. But that wraps up this episode 9.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for joining us. Till next time, stay dangerous. Peace.